All right, so here's the start of my work, as I'm calling it. I was gonna call it a walk and playthrough because it's sort of going through all the solutions since I'm already finished all of work, even beyond the book. But also going through it in a different perspective to do a more deductive style of the puzzles. So instead of a walk and playthrough, I'm gonna call it a work and playthrough because it's work. So here's my trusty marker, which I just found relatively recently, the same one that Blaž uses in his previews of the Letibus books. And of course, here's all my other Letibus puzzle stuff. So I can't even say puzzle books anymore because we have heard the board game, which is what I want to make this VR recorded playthrough of. I guess once I'm talking about the Letibus puzzle books in general, something I noticed is that when I was looking at the first page, so transparent sheet is included, and also a kind of reference to Abdec's beginning, right? I swear it was a similar beginning. It was kind of noted before, right? Am I imagining things? Since 1970? Yeah, yeah, sorry, yeah, that is the same thing. Yeah. As I was looking at this, I was wondering if there were any secrets, ignoring the one on the other side with this, because I know it's Slovenian, I'm assuming, actually. I don't think anything is hidden in this, but I was looking at the ISBN, which is the barcode number here. It's the same one. All right, the 444 at the end, 9585344. Yeah. But there's also a number here, Letibus 6. So I'm pretty sure that's publication order, right? But the surprising thing is that this is second, this is third, and then this is fifth. So there's a first and fourth one that I'm missing, actually. I'm wondering if the first one is the puzzle, not the puzzle, but it kind of is, right? From what I've heard it be described, it's the card game All Is Bomb, which is not sold on the official site for Letibus. I'm planning on getting that to complete the collection. I wonder if that's meant to be the first published one. I don't know what would be the fourth though. I don't recall the discussion of anything that's existing in between Abdec and Herd. I'll have to look into that later. But anyway, yes. So I'm going to be approaching this as a regular player would in terms of the order of the puzzle. So no, I'm not going to start with this. No, I'm not going to start with this. I'm assuming that everyone watching this is either finished work or don't care about spoilers. If you don't care about spoilers, please check out Work. I do recommend it. Can you buy the PDF? Oh, I don't know. You should still looking into getting the physical edition as much as possible. I can vouch for that. But yeah, I like the credits because it's not just thanking the playtesters. I know people who helped with ideas as well, but also the tools. It's kind of funny. I remember the developer of Tunic mentioning the exact brand of his pen that he uses in the manual itself within the game. So it's cool to see the exact brand that Blaž uses to make the puzzles in his notebooks. Interestingly, two of them, two square grid ones with different sizes and Photoshop. I don't know what's up with that. Like, was it just convenience or is there something deeper? Interesting. Yep. And of course, a PDF for download, which is why I'm pretty sure you can purchase the PDF. Yeah, I guess so. Yep. But yeah, I appreciated that the trust is put in us. So PDF is pretty handful, especially when I want to work on this digitally as well. But yep, interesting set of colors. Yep, in the year of 2025. Again, I'm very annoyed with myself for not checking out Work sooner. Because yeah, I didn't see much attention around it until it won the Tinky Puzzle Games Award for best pen and paper puzzle. So that's when I knew I need to come back to Letibus stuff. But yeah, yep, it tests visualization and spatial reasoning skills. Very important, which is kind of weird why I'm doing this deductive style. I guess it's just to show what the minimum amount you can be using is, I guess, will be the goal of this playthrough. Some rules will explain, some won't be, which kind of puts it in a space, I would say, in between Lock and Abdeck. I guess more towards Lock side, because Lock starts off with explaining the rules, the keywords, and then it kind of becomes more hands-free later on, especially with Tar, and especially with B as well. Or I mean Ebb, as it's more commonly called. I mean, no, it is more commonly called B. But yeah, Abdeck was much more into the rule discovery stuff. Blaž himself described me as an Abdeck head, which I love a lot of real discovery stuff, but I can also appreciate that sometimes you also need to go back to basics. And then once you do that, the rule discovery stuff you can do later on from those basics, I think sometimes can be more impactful in this case as well, even if it's more subtle and not as kind of epiphany driven as Abdeck. But yeah, I do appreciate how this is in a sense more video gamey than other two books, but also at the same time much more harder to adapt because of how much more of mind reading and solving things in your head it is than just a digital version. Okay, but enough of me yapping. Yeah, notation pages also comes with its own secret. I don't know why, but the first time I was reading this, I did not realize there was a puzzle 0. I just completely skipped over that. I was just too excited to get to the to start the book. But yep. So yep. Another a sort of reference to Lock with secrets at the start of each chapter. You already know there's something up to this. We'll revisit that later. But yep, originality. First 12 puzzles. Oh, I didn't even think about whether I should do a voiceover for this. I feel like I won't do it any justice. So something this reminded me of the first time as well is that I don't know how many of you have played the game Control by Remedy. Same people who made Alan Wake, but in Control specifically, it was more SCP inspired. I'm going into a whole different tangent now, but Control specifically had this entity called the board, which is the board, right? Yeah, it's kind of like a upside down pyramid that just goes on to infinity. And even though it talks, you can't really hear it in any spoken language or even in the language itself. But the subtitles with it kind of show that it speaks with words that have similar meanings. Not synonyms per se, but kind of can be equivalent. Like it still makes sense if you replace the word with the alternative. So that's what it kind of reminded me of a bit with these ones. Although I feel like the vibe here is that Blaž is trying to present something where these words are not quite accurate. They're not quite the words that it exactly meant, but they're close enough for us to understand, maybe. High above the head/plane. It could be either. I guess kind of referencing the 2D 3D-ness of it, or the lack of 3D-ness of it, maybe. Yep, this is how the world is made, by creating these paths between workers. So turning at 90-degree angles, I guess technically you're turning at 2 sets of 90-degree angles, so you're going straight. And yep, it needs a paths always start at the worker. It doesn't go beyond the worker. Well, the start of a path begins at a worker. So that's the more technical saying. You'll see why I'm being more precise with my words there, because there are exceptions to just saying, oh, it can't go to a worker. It technically can, but you'll see. But yeah, no crossing over the path, no branching of the path either as well. So I guess if we're trying to think of it more deductively, you can summarize it as any point on the path must either have 2 directions, or the point is on the work itself and it goes in one direction. I guess that's the best way to kind of concisely put it. If I put a point on this line here, I'm going in 4 directions. That's not it. I put a point on this part here, I'm going in 3 directions. That's not it. If I put a point on this worker, I'm going in 2 directions instead of just 1 direction from the worker. So that's a good kind of safeguard if we really want to be thorough about checking a solution. So yep, let's solve our first puzzle. Yep. Okay. I don't like how there's a bit of the marker still remaining on this, and I'll accidentally stain the page. Okay, so first puzzle. So we know we start at the worker. So immediately we know that, so we're starting at this, those are the 2 ends. We know we can't go down because it's a dead end. We can't come back up. That's the whole kind of deal with these Hamiltonian part puzzles. I think that's the name of them. Now I can't go to the left because not only is there no worker there, but I can't go back out, right? So I guess I could argue that the rule, if I really want to be basic about it, is that I cannot go into a space that's only 1 cell wide if I plan on coming back out. So it's like automatically there's a barrier across here. Okay. And now let's go from the other worker because there's another point I want to make later. So I'm forced into this. Again, there's a barrier here. I can go back there because this is only a cell wide. Again, only a cell wide. So it's like there's a barrier here. Now here's the interesting. In both cases, now there's 2 parts, right? But I'm still stuck if I go into this general area, because if I go left, down, right, up, I'm now crossing over this part, even if it's just with a single point rather than just crossing straight through it, right? That's a no-no. So I guess it's not the rule more generally now is that barriers are not just a cell wide or high. They also span the diagonal bit of a cell. So there's like a diagonal barrier here against this place. Again, another barrier here. Another barrier here. Again, another diagonal barrier here. So I cannot go into a space that's only, I guess, that's only a cell-sized, a single tile-sized space, whether it's diagonal, horizontally, or vertically. Yep. Again, sorry if I'm cutting off the puzzle with the recording. I have an overlay that helps me see what will be recorded or not, but sometimes I forget about it. So apologies in advance. I'll try to be doing that as least as possible. Yep, let me be careful with the marker because I've already accidentally marked the page by accident, so I do not want to do that anymore. Yep. So more rules, because we need the basics. It would be kind of artificial if it was kind of putting more puzzles just for the sake of making rule discovery. That's something that doesn't flow well, which kind of goes to show that rule discovery isn't something that automatically makes a product good, right? It needs to make some sense within the mechanics being demonstrated. But yeah, so if we pass through blocks, which contain elements that can exist within the puzzle, then we collect the whole piece. It's interesting because you could make it into rule discovery in this instance, because see how it only says passes through a piece once? It doesn't say only once, does it? Right? So what does that mean? Does that mean that if I pass through a piece more than once, I uncollect the whole piece? What exactly happens? We don't know. But with uniqueness, it's interesting because by saying only once instead of saying only, it's kind of telling me that I could pass through this piece nonetheless if I keep going right and up, because I'm passing the piece, right, in general. But somehow that it's saying once, and this not needing as a unique solution means that this itself is a unique solution. The fact that this solution doesn't work already tells me it's only once in this case. Or maybe there's something about this sentence I'm not getting if I was a new player, if you can catch my drift. But yep, if it passes through it once, it collects the whole piece. We don't have the full knowledge of what happens if it's more than once. Just that it just does. That's the fact of the matter. So our goal in puzzles is to collect the pieces and match the showcased output. So we're working to create an output. Now, it's interesting because now if we come back to the very first puzzle, this technically had an output, did it not? But it didn't. It doesn't have the pipe. I don't know what it says about this puzzle. Would you say the output here is nothing? Is there something else going on in this puzzle? Yeah, it's a bit strange. As you'll see, all these pipes are like core to the puzzles more than just visual. They're not just there to show where the output leads to, right? They are special in themselves, as we'll see in the final chapter. So I don't know what that has to say about the first. I'm kind of hampering on this because, again, spoilers. In the final expansion, um, there there is a concept of a nothing output, but it explicitly is a kind of output. Whereas here, there's no output because there's no pipe. It doesn't even have the kind of brown space to visually represent what's an output. So I don't know what to make out of this. Oh, and also I forgot to mention, we do have difficulties. Abdeck kind of showcased itself as a difficulty 4 out of 5, did it not? Yeah, right here. Yeah. Lock didn't because it's kind of like a beginner's thing, right? But yeah, we have difficulty per puzzle, which is pretty helpful. It kind of tells players what to expect, which is itself can be pretty helpful. Kind of guide players as well, or tell them what they need to look out for. Difficulty is something also important in the final chapter, which I'll get back to, because sometimes I felt the difficulty there is a specific rule to difficulty as well of a puzzle, which I'll get into later as we get to the final chapter. But yeah, so we collect an output, and interestingly, we can rotate the output. We can rotate the piece we collect in the puzzle to match the output, but we can't mirror it. It's funny because that directly confirms that this world is 2D, right? It needs to be 2D because if it was 3D, why can't we just rotate it in 3D space, just like as we do in rotating it in 2D space? But we can't rotate in 3D space to mirror it. So it's explicitly a 2D. It's a 2D realm. Yeah, interesting to note. It seems contradictory because look at these blocks have height to them. Even the workers have height. So what's going on here? Is this not an official? If it's an official puzzle, just something funny to think about, I guess. But yeah, so no mirroring, only rotating. Yeah, as you can see, here's the mark I accidentally made, so I need to be careful with this. Yeah, sorry, yeah, that's the next puzzle. So I like this puzzle because the first time I did it, it was interesting because I wondered if the color mattered of the blocks. Because up until now, it never even talked about color. It was all showing gray stuff, right? But suddenly there's a reddish brown block here. And so here's the thing where I can't use no visualization at all unless I try to draw it, I rotate it, but then I'm using a visual aid. I'm trying to use as few visual aids as possible. So I guess how can we do this as deductively as possible? Only one of these shapes is getting collected. I know there's 4 blocks. Each have 4 blocks. I'm only going through one, right? I guess let's start with the workers. Sometimes starting with the workers can help itself help us determine which block we're going through, as it does in future puzzles. It's not just looking at just the output and the blocks themselves. Sometimes where the workers themselves are hints in themselves. So I know I'm not going up into this block. Or yet, again, let's say we don't know where the color is important. Let's start from that assumption, even though we kind of can tell already for other reasons, as I'll get into later. But yeah, so if I start this either of these workers, okay, I know I can't go into the space because then I'm collecting 2 blocks. I can't be doing that. Yeah. Similarly, I guess that's the end of the deduction in terms of not going to multiple blocks. So how do you know which block is the correct one? So I guess let's start with a nub. A nub, right? So again, I'm kind of still rotating it deductively, even if it's not visually. So I'm starting with this nub, I go up, then I'm going left 2 times, right? So if I'm starting with the nub, I know I'm starting with this one because this nub is 2 blocks long. So this nub, I'm going down, then left, then left. Even though I just said I'm going up, then left, then left. Those two don't match. Because I'm going left in both cases, even though logically I know that if it's not oriented the same way, I should be the opposite directions in both cases, right? If I'm going up and up, then left and left. If I'm rotating a different way, in the opposite way, I'm should be going down, then right and right. But that's not going on in this case. I feel like I'm kind of yapping a bit by making it as hard as possible with this whole deductive style playthrough. We'll see how productive this is in future chapters. I feel like that's where I'll be properly tested on how useful this work and playthrough will be. It's just kind of like a thought exercise. I'm just kind of doing a test run to see how well this recording playthrough goes in general with Herd. That's really it. So this is just for a bit of fun. But yeah, so it's either these 2 blocks. So now here's where we get into the importance of color, because there are 2 solutions. I could go down here, then to the worker, or right across, then down to the worker. The fact that these 2 blocks matches, so up, left and left, left, down and down, means that if there's only one unique solution, then somehow that means one of these 2 solutions are not right. And most obviously is the one that goes through the reddish brown block. See, if colors didn't matter, then you would expect the output to be a whole different color, right? To show that, oh, if it's a whole different color and this color doesn't match any of these, then it means that color doesn't matter. It's just about the shape of your output, right? But this is showing that color does matter, even if it's not spoken. So a bit of rule, kind of already starting with rule discovery here. So we're going down and across. Yeah. Am I right? Color is not mentioned in any of this, right? Match the showcase output. You could argue, what does match mean? Shape, color, identicalness? Exactly. It's not mentioned explicitly, but I guess with this, it spells it out more for you. So yep, color does matter. Yes. Yep. So yeah, that's how I would solve it. And again, if I went to the right, I can't go into here because then there's no way to come back out. Yeah. So I have to be going through this block especially. Yeah, if I pretend this space doesn't exist, then again, this is a barrier in a sense. I can't go through this block. And if I need to be touching this block, then means I have to go down. I can't be going to the right and coming back around. Yeah. Yeah, and I can't be going through any other blocks. So again, barrier. And I can't be going into this because I need to be going down anyway. But yep. So yep, here's the start of making this artificially as hard as possible for me. It's just kind of my own arbitrary rules. Cause yep. Anyway, let's continue. So we want to collect this block. So there are 5 blocks in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if we can rule out any of these blocks more thoroughly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, it could be this. Who knows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all of these are pentaminos, as they would be called, right? So yeah, we can't just rule out on just the number of blocks. So now we actually have to think about the shape. So if we have a look at this, how do I describe the shape without getting to visualization? How do we know? How would I describe it to someone who can't see? I guess is the whole point of this playthrough. I guess it's the idea that all these nubs are 1 block each. Yep. So if I start with a block, any block, they're all 1 blocks. There's no extra link to them. So I can rule out things like this block, this block, this block, and this block. Technically, they're nubs. I guess not just nubs. I guess corners, right? So 1 nub, 2 nub, 3 nub, and there's a corner that I'm touching, and then there's a flat one that I'm touching. So one flat, one corner. Oh, I guess I can deductively talk about this. There's a block with only one edge. There are 3 blocks with 3 edges, and 1 block with 2 edges. Okay, so here we go. We're kind of making some progress with this deduction. So this rules out, this whole block doesn't have any single block with 3. Oh, it does have 1, but I need 3, so this is not it. This has 1, 2, but there's no third one. There are 3 2 edges, even though I need just 1 with 2 edges. So that's not either. So it has to be this one. So let's have a look. 1, 2, 3. So, and then one single edge, and then 1 double edge. So yeah, that's the one. Okay. Again, it seems like I'm overcomplicating this, but I feel like there is some merit to this. I just have to convince myself. So I'm not going into any of these blocks. So now I'm entering this block. Let's start from the other worker. Okay, so here's something now. So we did talk about how it's implied that I only go through it once to collect it. I don't know what happens if I go through it more than twice. I just know that if I do it more than once, somehow it's bad. And it's kind of funny. Before it just said once, but now it's being more explicit. Pass through a piece only once to collect it. So now this is being more precise in saying that somehow it means if I go through it more than once, I'm doing something more than collecting a piece, as it's saying. So, and here's where uniqueness comes in, right? Because how many ways can I approach this? I can just go through the piece itself. I can go out, go straight, go out into the space, then down. So 1, 2, 3, and even a 4th one if I'm going into here, or in 5. But there's only one unique solution, and there is something special about one solution over the others, which is that there's only one solution that just goes through the whole piece. And I'm just following the instructions, right? So I'm just going to be passing through this single piece. So that's our solution. Trying to be careful with putting this in the recording space. Please have mercy on me. I'm not like Joseph Mansfield. I'm not as seasoned as him. Okay, so here we go. Now we'll be connecting pieces, and now here where we come into the idea of going into multiple pieces, right? Again, we still don't have an answer to what happens if we make a part into the same piece, but we will get our answers. But yep, so we can connect multiple blocks, and when we do that, it connects them through the part between the 2 edges, as if they glue. Yeah, making them adjacent in the output. So it's sort of like the empty space that contains the part in between workers, or in between the elements of the puzzle, doesn't exist. They just flat out just erase them, and whatever comes in sequence is directly adjacent. Kind of reminds me of Lock a bit. Yeah, with the final expansion, the digital expansion of the secret expansion of Lock, where it's artifacts, where it kind of changes the rules of adjacency. It kind of reminds me of this in a sense. Yeah. So again, here we're not just making a part straight through blocks, we can go through corners as well. So that means this block. So here's the thing, it's not a translation of blocks. You're not really translating blocks, even though that kind of does work out in this specific case. We're kind of rotating them to fit the edges as well, which is where the visualization comes into play a lot as well. Especially as we get into multiple elements, the same elements, and all that. Yeah, it gets more complicated. And I like this example because my headcanon of what exactly happens, because remember, this part is actually the worker's hands, as we saw in the introduction, right? So it's sort of like the workers, what they're doing is one grabs the other through a different part, and it's sort of like they're retracting their hands, right? They're retracting their hands until they're coming together, and they're squeezing together until it's as tight as possible and all the blocks are connected. That's how I could sort of imagine how the blocks are coming together. It's like they're retracting their hands. They put out an appendage through the block, they pull on the other while the other is also pulling on them, and just pulling their hand close towards the body. At least that's how I imagine it. But yeah, this edge connects to this edge, and then we have this block here. While I'm at it, okay, let's think about this for a moment. So I kind of talked about how, in terms of deduction, we can differentiate a shape from another shape with the same number of blocks, right? By looking at which sub-blocks have the specific number of edges. So we have 2 blocks with 3 edges, 2 blocks with 2 edges. But this could be mirrored and it'd be true, right? So I guess that's the next level and the kind of obstacle. We sorted out that the first basic rule is the number of sub-blocks, then the number of edges in a sub-block. Now this mirroring deal, if this was mirrored, how would I know the difference? Interesting to think about. I guess I kind of talked about it before with the L's in the second puzzle. It's the path. I'm thinking about the path itself. I'm making a different path through the block. I'm going up, right, then up. If I'm going through a different mirrored version and I'm going up, left, and up, that's obviously different, right? I guess here's something I can think about it this way. Let me, again, I'm overcomplicating this. Just give me some mercy. I have, so if I break it down into different 4 parts that can exist. Oh, these are the only 2 parts that can exist. Or I could start from either direction, right? So I'm going right, down, right, down, right. Or left, up, left. Then here I'm going either up, right, up, down, left, down. I know these 4 rules describe the same block. So if I have a mirrored version, but see, what I'm doing now is I'm just manually trying to solve stuff. Yeah, then as you expect, it's sort of like I'm only inverting one set of instructions, right? Left, down, left, down, right, down, up, left, up. So these 2 are different because mirroring is not the same output. If I directly compare, what can I kind of establish from this sort of rule of mirroring? How can I tell a mirrored object from another mirrored one if I'm describing it to someone who can't visualize what I'm talking about? I guess I would say that if I'm telling someone right, down, right, how would I know that these 3 correspond to this one and these 4 don't? I guess with the most similar example, right, up, right, that doesn't match because there's only one output that's mirroring. The other 2 are not mirrored, so you know that's not it. Similarly with left, down, left, there's only one in common. That's also how we can tell that this doesn't match the first one. Down, right, down. So here's another kind of inversion, right? So they have multiple types of inversions going on. In this case, it's an inversion of a single output, a direct inversion. Here, it's not a direct inversion, it's more of an inversion of the letters themselves. Right? So this doesn't match because it's a direct inversion of what's happening here. Or I guess what you could say is that the downs don't fall into the same categories as rights. Right and left goes together, down and up go together. They don't go together. So that's also how we can immediately tell. This one, I guess same reasoning. Up and up don't go with rights, lefts and downs don't go with each other. So that's also how I know that this doesn't work out. So now how do I know these 3 work out? Left, up, left. So here it's a complete inversion, which does work out. If I'm completely inverting it, it's the same thing in a sense, right? Then with this, okay, see, here's where my rule of rights not going well with rights, rights not going well with ups fails. So I need to re-examine this. So it's more than that. I guess the idea is that what is the idea? So I should erase this just to make this clearer to myself. I already know that. So it's this idea of inversion that haven't clarified. I know that if only one input is inverted, there's something wrong going on. At one input with the rest are in the same position at least. Because here there's only one letter in common, but it's in a different position. So there's a bit of grace with that, if I can call it that. Okay, sorry for the burp. So how do I explain this? So it's not just rights can go with right ups and downs can go with lefts. There's something more to this. Before I talked about the idea of complete inversion, right? So here there's a complete inversion of within the same category of rights and lefts and downs and ups. Here there's a complete inversion of both categories across these three. Rights becoming downs, and the down is also becoming a left. So would that mean an up and a right and an up would be correct? Yes, it's even here. So these two are correct not just because they're directly opposite each other, which again matches the whole inversion, but it's also the idea that I'm inverting the category as well. So the quote-unquote rule is that the shape that matches another following these sets of instructions, the shape is the same if there's a complete inversion within the across categories, or if there's a complete inversion within the category as well. So within a category of right and left and downs and ups, this works out. Across categories, this works out. So because rights become ups, that's all right as long as the down becomes one of those. But a down could become a left. But up, left, up is not a good thing. No, I still haven't kneeled down. Is it as simple as making another category? No, it can't, because it's always context dependent on the block, right? No, I need to erase this again. There's something I'm missing. But just bear with me. So only if they are partial inversions, that's bad. If there's a complete inversion within a category, that's all right. I guess the reason I'm struggling with this, as with anyone would, who has trouble visualization, is these are the rotated versions. This one is just the same shape but in the opposite direction. This is a rotated version right here. So how can I tell that there's something similar to this? Oh, there's a clockwiseness to this that I'm missing. So if I think about it in terms of clockwise, so right down right is fine. Clockwise, then back. Left up left is fine. Clockwise, then back. Up right up. Clockwise, then back. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm onto something here. So if I'm going clockwise and back, it's if I follow this method, so again, I guess I'm just rotating with extra steps, essentially. So it doesn't work in these cases because down, right, down. I'm going anti-clockwise and back. So that's why this doesn't work. Up, left, up. Yeah, up, left, I'm going anti-clockwise first. So that's why it doesn't work out. This is, if I'm going to continue this process, this whole playthrough is gonna take up so long. Let's just see how we go. So I guess, so I have these two rules. Inversions, complete inversions are good, partial inversions bad. Clockwiseness, can I think about it in terms of categories, like I was thinking about with up and down and left and right? I feel like I can't, because you could easily put left and up in a category in themselves as you would with left and down. It's all dependent. Let's think about it a bit more. I feel like this compass is going to be my best tool that I can get to without outright using a visualization tool. Oh, I don't know how people are going to react to this. All right. I'm just going to have to stick with the compass, and then if it's too tardy in the future, we'll need to re-examine how we can streamline this. But at the moment, it's my best tool. All right, let's finally get on with it. Okay, so keeping the compass in mind, we'll see how trustworthy this tool is. So at least we have now this new, also different way to approach puzzles now that we have the idea of outputs, especially with multiple puzzles, with multiple blocks, I mean. Okay, so we have this output. It's 6 blocks, but we only have 2 blocks. At least these 2 blocks are 3 outputs, so we know that these 2 blocks are connected. The other thing is we also have these markers. So not only is it rotationally symmetrical, this output, but also there are these dots in these blocks that serve as markers. So that'll be helpful for us, because that means if I were to mark, so I know that because I'm working with 1x3s, so if I start from this here, that's already 1x3 complete. So I already have an idea of what the 2 blocks are. Yeah. Yep. And I also know that the path needs to be going through this edge to connect them. So I kind of mentioned this before, but again, it's not in frame. Apologies. I'm gonna make it in frame. I already mentioned this before, but it's like there was empty space in between, but it's gone now. So all that remains is the path. So I know that there's a path going through like this, right? Now let's go to the workers, because again, as I mentioned before as well, the workers can give us a hint of how the path evolves. So I'm always starting with this worker. I have to go down, and I have to go up here. There's nowhere else to go. I'm going into these 2 blocks into the middle sections. That's interesting. So I'm going down, and if I go right, I'm going into this dot. Okay, here's the dot here as well. So again, using our compass. Or actually, no, we don't need to use a compass here, because these 2 blocks are indistinguishable from each other. Either could be the one, because again, it's rotationally symmetrical, right? It doesn't matter which block is which. They're coming together in a way that's not different from the other. Also, this whole puzzle is rotationally symmetrical as well. There's that as well. But specifically with the output, if you look at the output itself, it doesn't matter what the difference is. So in both cases, we're going into the middle blocks. Okay. Where are those middle blocks coming from? So I know that because the edges are getting joined together by blocks that don't have the eyes, the dots. My path is not going into the dots, because then I need to go exit from an edge. So I'm not going here, I'm going here. And I'm going here as well. So the only way to go is down and up here. And I can't be going into anywhere else, so already, so see, I kind of skipped on the visualization. I just kind of logicked it out. Just to emphasize, I don't think this is an enjoyable method. I think there is some value to visualizing it. It's sort of cool if you can, right? I'm just trying to do a different approach to see whether I can come away with some kind of conclusion, if any at all. But yep, so I'm going into these 2. And because I'm going into, so again, it doesn't matter. I can directly see that this block corresponds to this block. So yeah, I was coming into up here, and I was coming down into here. Yep, again, yep. So that's the solution. Yep. Okay, now this is interesting because it's a similar output. It is literally the same output, but now we're working with different blocks. So I can't be making a path in the same way. We can't assume that at the least. So if I'm starting with this worker, well, here's the thing. I know that I'm making the same edge. So this much is still in common. Okay. I know that with one of the blocks here, so I'm working with the with one end of the block that doesn't have the eye. So there's only one direction, 2 directions, and it's through the sides or up here. So I'm not going to the right here, which corresponds to this, because I'm not joining a block here, right? There's no other block here. So that means if I can only go up, that means the path needs to be going into here like this. Or, yeah, because the worker can't go anywhere else. So this is where the edge is. Okay. So I'm connecting it to another edge of this block here. I'm connecting it to the edge that is the bottom of this 3-edge block here. So if I think about the part, I'm going right. Oh, this is so cumbersome if I'm trying to use the compass tool. Is there any way I can logic this out? I know that because these two blocks are equivalent, if I'm going up here, I'm going down here. Rotationally, they're the same. So I know that if I'm making this the upper edge, then it's also this upper edge I need to be connecting. So there's that as well. So if this edge is what connects to this, that means that the path needs to be beginning from here. And this worker can go through here. So I need to be connecting to this worker here. So this part can go up here because I'm not connecting to this edge. I need to make a classic path as if everything else is a barrier. So this is the solution then. So I'm connecting this edge to this edge because functionally these two edges, these are the congruent. Are they is that the correct term? Yeah, they're congruent. So if they're congruent, the same edge, and it's rotationally symmetrical as well, the edges that connect are the same edges in both shapes. So that's how I can be confident of this. It's not a tight fit. Apologies. Okay, there we go. It's tight in there now. Next puzzle. How many do we have left? I was planning on finishing chapter 1 relatively quickly. Oh no. Sorry, just looking a bit in advance. Let's get through this. I don't know how long this recording is. Oh no, didn't mean to bend that. Yep, so no mirroring. Important lesson. So if you just look at it, the fact that it even crosses out what you don't want means that you're not connecting this edge to this edge. But let's ignore that, pretend that isn't there. So this L-shaped. So I'm working with a 3-shaped block that's an L and a single block. Okay. So if I'm working with a single block and a 3 sub-blocked unit, with the dot in the corner, I know that this has to be 3 block piece. Okay. So it has to be covering this. Oh, I don't mean to do that. So that means I need to use a block that only has 3 edges, 2 blocks to 2 edges. So I already have the 2 edges here. So it has to be this then. I can't go any further. So that means the 2 edges that are connecting within this output are this. Yep. So specifically, I'm connecting 2 parts like this. Okay. So what this tells me then is that if I'm looking from this block, again using my compass, the block that's directly clockwise of this is not getting used. So if I choose any random block, clockwise is nothing, so this is not the one. This one, yeah, so it's this one. Clockwise, it's this block, so I know the path has been going through here, and that's what I'm going through anyway. So the interesting thing here is that I'm going through the edge that's straight through, that's directly opposite that dot. So that's how I know I'm going to the left. So it's this edge that's in common. So I'm coming out, there's nowhere else to go. So I can't be going towards the worker because then I'm only collecting this piece. Or again, it's not mu, apologies. So I'm avoiding the worker as much as possible. I don't want to go through it more than once. So I'm going up again. I don't want to go through the worker again. So there are 2 parts left for me. Okay. So here's the interesting thing. This block is against the corner. So I know that I'm not going straight through this block, right? I'm going to the left or to the right. So from the perspective of it doesn't really help me much, does it? Okay, so here's the thing. We can start from the other worker. So as the other worker, I know I'm not going to the right, because then I'm only collecting this single piece. So I'm going up, right, and I can't go down because then I'm not collecting the single unit. So I have to go right. So the decision is already kind of made for me. Then I go down and left. So I was kind of forced into that solution in a sense, even if I couldn't visualize it. And here's the edge. And even if we didn't really need to decide where the edge was, it was kind of decided for me by that worker. So that's what I kind of mean by how the location of the workers themselves are a hint of where to go. All right, so a bit more complicated now. Oh my god. I'll just have to keep this separate. Okay, so now we have two shapes. One is 4 units, one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, making a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 unit shape, which makes sense. So which shape is which? So again, using the case of edges, so I have a piece that only has 3 edges along. See, if something was going along this piece, then I wouldn't have any. Oh, but you could argue that these 2 points here as well. Oh yeah. So there are limits with this approach. What's the best way to approach this? So, okay, let's start with the workers, right? I know that this worker here has to be going into here because I need to collect this piece, right? And there's only 2 parts into this piece. It's from here and here. If I'm going here, oh no, I made an assumption. It could go both ways, honestly. Oh no, it can't go both ways actually. Oh no, it can. Because hypothetically, this worker could go through here and then into here into this worker. So no, that's not a certainty. Okay, so let's think about this output first. So there's a block with 3 edges. There's only one. There are 4 blocks with 2 edges. There are 4 blocks with. There are 3 blocks with a single edge. So some of these blocks are coming together and getting rid of the edges on others, right? So I know that there's one 3-edge one. There's one 3-edge one. There's another 3-edge one. Then there's. Oh, then this gets into the idea of, oh, this technically does have 2 sides. Oh no. My head is going to spin. As you probably can tell, I already know how it's gonna come together. But I'm just trying to stick to these arbitrary rules, which are showing that they're just too complicated. Come on, there must be a way to streamline this. So, because I can't just imagine that. Oh, here's a nub, but I could hide it. I can't even verbalize what I'm saying. And I'm not just going to say, oh, I make a part. Can this part go into here? Then I'm just kind of manually ruling out stuff, which is also not the goal of this. Yeah, how can I streamline solving this? How would I describe it to someone who can't visualize? So here's something. Because I only know that I'm connecting 2 blocks together, there's only one set of edges I'm connecting, one pair of edges, right? So I know that on this block here, there are 3 possible blocks that have an empty space that could be the glue where the glue is, right? But I explicitly know that they can't be glue in between a worker and a piece, right? Because the worker marks the start of it. There can't be a block in between. So this can't be the glue. This has to be the glue. So the fact that there is a glue here on this piece, can that help me? And the thing is, there's only glue on one edge. So here's something that can help me. If there's only glue across this edge, then all these other edges are maintained. Are they? No, I can't really say that because even if I'm not gluing other pieces, other points, they can still be touching each other even if they're not glued together. That's also the other problem. I guess maybe I should start with no. I can't even say that. Oh, this might not touch anything. It could, honestly. Hmm. If I'm a worker and I know I'm this glue here, that means there has to be part coming to this end. Okay, this can help me. So the worker has to be touching this. This worker can go in either direction. We don't quite know yet. And I know I'm coming out here. Yes, so what more can I do? Hmm. Because I'm not just going to draw the block until I find the correct output. Again, I don't want to just brute force it. So what can I use deductively to tell me what to do? I went into the whole idea of the compass method and I kind of just avoided using it. Because with the compass method, it assumed that you could start off from an end, but I can't even do that here. Hmm. I guess there was a page that I skipped over, didn't I? What did it say? Was it even here? How do I streamline this? How can I decisively say that this piece goes where? Without just kind of manually inserting it and seeing where I go. I feel like this is just distracting me now. This drawing. Okay. Hmm. Mm. Okay, let's see. No, I don't see. Oh, come on. I must have. There must be some way to kind of just like be able to tell. Think. I know there are three possible edges it can connect to. How can I rule out which one it's not? With some sort of logic to it which doesn't involve visualization. Or at least the least amount of visualization possible. Hmm. How do I? Yeah. So it always comes back to how do I know which edge to mark. So here's the thing: if I'm marking this edge, that means this is permanently a two-edged corner one. Does that mean could this block not be shaped so that it's kind of like this that I'm connecting to? In which case, this is covered up. This There's all sorts of possibilities, so I can't use that. I think I sort of alluded to that before. Hmm. Do I need to bring up a compass? Can my compass even help me? Hmm. The identifying thing about this is this nub. And I kind of already ruled out that because this piece is connecting to another, this can't be the nub. This also can't be the nub because this is the beginning. There's no glue here. So the fact that there is a nub means it's either one of these two. If it's either one of these two, one of these is not the glue. Hmm. How would I describe it to someone who can't visualize this? Because maybe someone who can only feel the blocks, if that helps. Hmm. And someone who can feel the blocks and doesn't need to replicate the same sensation of feeling it manually. Something that allows them to just touch it and say, "Oh yes, that is the one." I'm going crazy. Hmm. Because yeah, it's when two shapes come together, it just voids the whole idea of relying on edges, because edges could just disappear. They could be connected to. It ruins the whole idea of using that as a crutch. Hmm. And there's going to be a whole problem later where when I'm cutting pieces, what other cells are going to be touching where? That's a whole nother issue. Hmm. Okay, I think I need to be labeling the output in some way. How can I tell that? So it's this edge against a three-corner block that becomes a two. So, okay, I'm gonna kind of go. I'm not manually ruling out things. I'm just kind of identifying. So I know there's a two here. There's a two here. There's a two here. So I do have now some idea of where the glue can be, and the glue is specifically on a certain edge of this as well. It's the edge of what would make it Oh, it doesn't help me because it could be here, 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 here. Yeah. Mm. So even though this is the edge that needs to be looked together, can this help me? That can the fact that this is an edge as well help me as well? No, but I'm so see, I'm kind of I know the solution in advance, and I know this is going to be touching somewhere else, but I'm not meant to know that, right? I'm just working backwards from the solution if I'm doing that. If I can't make any progress, I'm gonna have to give up on this and just start on herd. I really want to start herd. That's the main goal. Um. Uh, I just want to immediately draw the correct solution. All right. Come on, think, think, think. How would I look at this and know which edge goes where? It was easy before because there were similar shapes to kind of work from, right? And I had a dot to kind of guide me as well. I knew that this edge was it. It corresponded to this. Was I maybe I was cheating when I was doing that? How was I able to do this, not this? Did I cheat against my rules? What did I do exactly here? I knew that this had to be the edge because of the worker itself. No, I went into here into this block. And I knew this block was had a block that was clockwise off it, right? That's how I knew that in the first place. And I was checking, but it's not like I was trying to brute force it, right? I'm just checking. Maybe I am being too pedantic with my own rules. So okay, here we go. Maybe the idea is that if I know that I'm going across two blocks, and then there's a block that's I guess anti-clockwise of me. Is that no? I'm not brute forcing. So if I start with so I'm telling someone, okay, you need to fill for two blocks in a row, and then there's a block to the right. I'll just say to the right. So would they be able to? Let's say pretend they can fill the tops of this. So two blocks in a row, then something to the right. But there's so many options. I'm so restless about this. Because now I'm just brute forcing it. If I'm just I'm running into the same problems as before. I'm this worker. Where am I going? How do I know where I'm going? So it's obvious that this block, it can't tell me where it is here. So there's something about this that needs to guide me. I guess you could say that, okay, the length of this block is 4, the width of this block is 2. It occupies this sort of area, right? What is something that makes me 4 blocks? 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I go across this, I'm going across the height of this block, right? So one of these ends is the 4 block one. Is that a valid thing to say? How would I know which ends is it though? If I'm describing it to someone. Hmm. Oh, so here's the thing. If this doesn't belong to the 5 block one, so 5 block with the 4 height, and I know this is the 4 height, so either one of these blocks must belong to the 5 block. If it somehow isn't this one, then there's no other options, right? So this has to belong to the 5 block. And the fact that it is 3 edges means that even though I can get rid of edges, it needs to correspond to either one of the ends. But I come into the same thing as before, where either one of these don't have the glue on them, but it doesn't help me much because there's still a possibility. All that means is that one of these is not an edge to be glued on, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the other has to have a glue on it. It just tells me there's at least one block that doesn't have glue on it. It could have been both blocks don't have glue, right? So it doesn't help me. I guess if I know this is the 5 block, then I can use my compass, right? I'm starting from this block, right, down, right, right. I can't go right, I can't go up, I can't go left, but I can go down. So if I'm going down and I was going right, let's bring up my compass. So I'm going right, down, right, 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 down, right, right. So clockwise, anti-clockwise, same again. So if I'm going down, down, then anti-clockwise. Oh no, sorry. Right, down, right, right. Right, clockwise, anti-clockwise, right, right. So down, that means down, I need to be going left, then down, down. So down, left, down, down. So that is the one. Okay, oh my god. I mean, someone could follow this if they couldn't visualize, right? Am I coping? So the fact that this is the 5 block one tells me that this is the 4 block one. And because I already know the edge is on the end of the two-sided one, it's the right left side. It's the my words. It's the edge that is the most if I'm imagining it from the side that doesn't have an edge, it's the most leftmost from the perspective. Oh, if you can understand what I mean. So it means this is the edge. Basically, let's end there. So the path goes through here. And the fact is that I know that this is an edge, but it's not necessarily where the path goes through. It's just an edge where they meet because of them just meeting here. That's just happenstance basically. And because I already know the path through here, it's just the same one I'm making. Yep. So now that I'm going through here, this block that I'm meeting corresponds to this one here. Again, I'm cheating with the visualization. Do I really need to visualize this? It's just the edge. It's a block because I already know what it looks like, right? It's a block that has the 2 edges, that connects directly to the 3-edged one. So it's this one then. Yeah. So see, I'm not cheating. I know that this has to be the edge then. So if this is where the part goes through, this is where it looks like. This part can exit here, or can it? It could technically the worker could come in here and then connect to the block here. But I know that with this part I'm going through here, and I can't go down because I'm not. That's not where the edge is. So I have to go here. So the choice is made for me. So this part needs to go anywhere that it can go that it's towards a worker. So I have to go through this piece and left, and I can only go up. Oh my god, finally, I solved it. Solving tips. Do I really... Did I mark... I think I accidentally marked the page, did I need to be careful with this pen. Okay. Take notes. Draw directly on the showcase output, which I've been doing. Separate into pieces. Yes, I've been doing that. Plan the path. Sketch different ideas, which I've not been doing. Be messy. Yes, I know, Blaž. Experiment. Don't rely on guesswork. Well, yeah, I try not to do guesswork, but I don't think I've been experimenting. My greatest ally is logic. Yes, I've been using it a lot. Eliminate options. Yes, I've been doing that. Challenge your assumptions. Hard to do that when I've been spoiled, in a sense, on the whole game. Take it slowly, but persist. Yes, I need to take this advice. Meant to be hard. Yes, this approach for sure. With each puzzle, you get better at visualization. I hope so. Check the explain rules. Observe your mind expanding. Yes. Well, my mind was expanding when I was doing the visualization. Again, I must emphasize this: the visualization is the best part of this. Which is why this is such a counterintuitive way of playing. I will completely acknowledge that. Oh no. Here's the boss puzzle for visualization. Let's see how I go with this. Okay. So we're working with a 2x2. And I only have 4 1x1. So these 4 1x1s are coming together to make... Oh no. Okay, it's gone. I'm coming together to make this square. So if I start with the workers, I know I have to directly go here. I'm not touching the worker because then there's no output. And this worker can't go anywhere else until this block. So this kind of tells me something. Now, I know this is rotation symmetrical, so I'm cool with just kind of splitting it already. Right? The interesting thing is that to actually connect all these blocks, I need to be making a path that goes into a corner. I can't go straight because then there's no edge connecting to this. So I know that with at least one block, I'm making a corner path, right? And here's the thing. So with the workers that go into these blocks, the way they come out doesn't matter. Because all workers do is, when they enter it, is establishing that it's the start or end of the part, right? The blocks themselves, right? This block could be going straight and to the left, but it could still be making a valid solution anyway. So the way the part comes out of these blocks don't matter, but it does with the other two blocks, because if this is the start and the end, these two blocks are in between, and the corner parts do matter as well. So I know that these two blocks must have corner parts going through them. Luckily, I have this block that's along an edge, so the fact that a corner part needs to be made means that I know that it has to be a line here. There can't be a single line going straight through this to make because then it's not a corner part, right? There needs to be a corner part like this or like this. So that tells me there needs to be a line here. So this line is coming here. I also know that this line here can't be going straight here, because then I'm cutting a block out entirely. So this part is going up. And it already tells me that this is the block to be connected to this block. This block is getting connected to this block as well. Yeah. Okay, now to establish, how do the corner parts look like? So with these corner parts, I'm going to blow into a block, turning right, then turning right again. So it's consistent, right? But I could also be going the other way. I'm going left, left. So am I going left, left, or right, right with either of these two blocks? So this block needs to be connecting to this block. It can either go here or here. So the interesting thing here is that if you think about it, so it's weird. It could go left either way, right? But can it go right? It can't, right? Because if it start from here and go right, then the path's over. So I'm starting from here as if it's from this worker, because this block connects to this block, right? If I'm starting from here, I can't turn right because then I'm stuck. If I'm starting from here and turn right, I can't. I can't turn right anyway, so I have to be turning left. So the fact that I'm turning left means that this block corresponds to this block. This block is this block. I don't know how I'm entering this second block from here, but I know this block corresponds to this, which in turn means that this block here is this block, and this block is this block. So because I already know I'm going to the left from the worker here, and then I'm directly connecting to this block, which is this one, this part is already here. So that means I'm making a leftwards part. It needs to be here. So I'm going left. I need to be going to a block that's going right. Yeah. If I'm connecting this block in any way from this part, I need to be turning right. So I could be turning right here. I can't be turning right into itself here. And I also can't be turning right into self here because if this part is here, then I'm cutting into the part. I'm kind of skipping over the visualization for you guys. Okay, look, we know it's turning right into here. There's only one way to work. And there's nowhere else to go. So if we think about the edges, it does work out, right? Imagine if I'm still getting it wrong. But it does. It just follows the rules here that I've set out. And I'm going straight through here. I'm turning left, then I'm turning right, then I'm turning right again, and then straight through here. That is the correct solution. I'm actually double checking. I'm checking the part itself and translating it to that. Oof. I don't know how that came by faster, but probably because I was maybe cheating a bit. Okay, here we go. This one looks at least a bit more tolerable. So I'm working with two 1x2s and one single block. So because I'm working with two 1x2s, so I'm starting with a worker. Oh, well, no, it's so open-ended. Oh, no. This is terrible. No. Lots of these flakes of the marker coming onto the page. What can I do to help myself? So again, look at the output. I'm working with two 1x1s. So here's something that can help me. If there's a worker adjacent to an edge, it's sort of the same thing as the edges being adjacent to the board of the puzzle, right? That's telling me that with one of the 2x2s, the sides of the two length sides can't be glued to anything else. Then with this one here, the edges means that only one edge, single edge can be glued to something. That's a possibility, I guess. So what this tells me is that what does this tell me? You know what this tells me? I'm hungry. I just want to start herd. Let's see how this video goes.